can be done in a bipartisan way, comprehensive immigration reform, where
what specifically do you want?
Numbers of people can come in. Well, we want them to have a limit on who can come across the border. It is too open right now. People coming from all over the world are finding their way through, simply saying they need asylum, and the majority of them seem to be ending up in the streets of New York, and that is a real problem for New York City. 125,000 newly arrived individuals.
So the New York governor has a major change of heart. Now, all of a sudden, the border's too open. We need to limit people coming across the border. But that wasn't what she was saying just a mere 7 months ago. She was actually saying let everyone in. She wants open borders. You think I'm joking? Check out these receipts.
We want people to come here, despite where they came from or despite the circumstances that drove them to this country and to this state. We say you are welcome here. We are welcome with open arms, and we'll work to keep you safe. We'll not only house you, but we'll protect you. And the richness of the culture and the diversity and the food and the restaurants that we know are going to be coming because of these efforts are beyond measure. It's an extraordinary part of our story. And it's woven into the story of New York, and it makes us more vibrant.
Now, it looks like that woman has disappeared, because now she's on TV saying, don't come to New York, whatever you do. Before, she's like, we want you to come here. But now she says, don't come to New York. Check it out.
When you come to New York, we're not going to have more hotel rooms. We don't have capacity. So we have to also message properly that we're at our limit. If you're going to leave your country, go somewhere else. If you're going to leave your country, go somewhere else.
So let's just get the governor's policy straight now, right? Before it was everybody comes in, we welcoming everybody, we don't care where you come from, to now it's a little bit different, right? It was like, hey, we need to close that border, limit who crosses, asylum seekers, be damned for the asylum seekers. And if you do come into the United States, go somewhere else. Don't come to New York, right? That's a hell of a difference than what the tune was just a couple of months ago. Now, the issue that's occurring is that the people of the city of New York, who are heavily Democrat, were loving the fact that the migrant crisis was happening in Texas, and called anyone who said we need to limit immigration to the country. They were racist. They were racist against migrants. That was the calling card. So then states like Texas and Arizona said, well, if you think limiting how many migrants come into the country is racist, what we'll do is we'll send them to you. Because don't forget, you're open to anyone coming, right? It doesn't matter where you come from, right? Play the clip of the governor again.
We want people to come here, despite where they came from or despite the circumstances that drove them to this country and to this state. We say you are welcome here.
It seems like that tune has changed, right? So even the most radical left-wing progressive show on YouTube admits that the Democrats in these sanctuary cities asked for this. Check it out.
So look, I said this on day one. I'm gonna repeat it even with greater fervor today. I think that what Texas did makes sense. And so I know that a lot of people on the left don't wanna hear that, but think about it, guys. So they had this immigration problem all along, and it wasn't spread out to many different states. It was just in Texas, and of course the other border states. And the federal government kept saying, I don't care, okay? Now, to be fair to the federal government, it doesn't just quite say that. It has a lot of different programs in place. The idea that there's open borders is nonsense. No, there's a border and they enforce it. They return people all the time, etc. But tons of people come in, and the border states said, why? Why do we have to shoulder all of this by ourselves? And started shipping it to other places that were more left-wing and said they were more open to immigrants. So you're open to immigrants, here you go, here's immigrants. And now all of a sudden New York realizes, okay, well, being open to immigrants has consequences, right? And they're trying to adjust the best they can, and they're trying to be as welcoming as they can, but obviously some anger is building. And so why does Texas have to just deal with it?
And he's right. Why does Texas only have to deal with it? In New York, if you're so welcoming and say, we don't care where you come from, we don't care you got here, we'll take care of you, then guess what? Here they come, right? If they're a sanctuary city in Chicago, here you go. Good luck. take care of them. But now things are changing. Things are changing because now they understand there is a cost to immigration. Now, the wild part about this is that these people called Trump racist when he said the same thing. Trump is saying we need to close the border. We need to limit how many people come across the border. Legal immigration is what we need. Illegal immigration is wrong. But they called him a racist. Now, the wild part is they're saying the exact same thing Trump was saying 4 years ago. Now, it's gotten to the point where it's so bad that people in NYC who have all these left-wing Democratic politicians who they love, they won't even allow them to speak because they feel that they have sold them out for migrants. Here's what happened when AOC tried to have a little campaign thing in front of the Roosevelt Hotel where migrants were being housed, and people protested that they did not let them speak. Check it out.
Well, right now, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other congressional Democrats are here in New York to address the city's asylum seeker crisis. They toured shelters housing migrants this morning, but then a press conference was abruptly cut short by protesters.
We're incredibly thrilled and excited to be here in order to make sure that we are joined by the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, as well as several other members from across the United States.
And even fights have literally broken out across New York City because people are saying, this is crazy. Why are we taking all these migrants when we can't, number one, afford it, and we have no room for them? The border needs to be closed.
A demonstration over the ongoing migrant crisis quickly turns violent. Protesters throwing punches, kicking, even choking each other. This chaotic scene unfolded at the doorstep of Gracie Mansion on Manhattan's Upper East Side. The NYPD made several arrests.
So Governor Kathy Hochul says border is too open and demands Congress limit the border crossings. The migrant crisis in New York is so bad that even Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul is ramping up her attacks on U.S. border policies, demanding a limit on who could come across and more agents to nab illegals. She's sounding like a Republican. Now remember, under Trump's policy, migrants had to stay in Mexico and apply for asylum there. And after they had approved, they can come in. But now under Biden, he's like, just come to the United States. You can wait it out here in the United States. But her issue is with Biden. It's not with Congress because remember, Biden has changed the policy. Trump was able to lock down the border, and then Biden came in and opened it back up. And now it pretends that it's all on Congress. But they're just passing the buck around. Don't be fooled by that. So Hochul targeted Congress in comments Sunday, but still risks the wrath of the Biden administration as it grapples with the crisis, wreaking mayhem in the Big Apple and across the country. Yeah, because that's whose fault it is. It's Biden's fault. I know people don't want to hear that, but that's whose fault it is. Biden is the one whose policies are allowing this to occur. And in this article, she actually takes a shot at Biden's policy because, again, you only thing you have to do is say you seek asylum and they're going to let you in and do whatever you want, right? So it's really illegal immigration, but with I call them the asylum seeker magic words. And that's what she's calling out. She says here, right? People coming from all over the world are finding their way through simply saying they need asylum. And that's the problem with the policy. If you just come and hit the border and say, I'm seeking asylum, then all of a sudden they let you in. That's essentially illegal immigration with this little exception. And the Biden exception is destroying New York City. And again, those aren't my words. The mayor says this migrant crisis is destroying New York City. I gotta play the clip so you guys don't think it's coming from me.
Let me tell you something, New Yorkers.
The migrant crisis taking on a new tone.
Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City.
Mayor Eric Adams escalating his frustration during a town hall meeting, revealing new fears as tens of thousands of asylum seekers continue to arrive in New York City.
Now, the last piece of this I think is interesting is that the Democrats are starting to turn on their own. In August, Hochul, who is the governor of New York, finally blamed the White House for the migrant mess. No. Somebody else's fault, saying President Biden needed to step up and provide more help as the state drowns in the migrant flood. She's saying it's destroying New York City too. This crisis originated with the federal government and it must be resolved with the federal government, she said at the time. So you know what I have to say about this whole thing? Good Good. You get what you vote for. She was saying, let them all in. Mayor Adams, for the mayor of the city of New York, was saying, let them all in. We want more. We want them cheering. Please bring us as many as possible. Now they're sitting them in droves, and now there's go somewhere else, she's saying. Go somewhere else. Adams, this will destroy New York City. How times have changed. And the thing that was racist to say maybe 2 or 3 months ago is the thing that is now Democratic policy today, which is insane. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. Tell me. Say, Nate, you're wrong, right? This is unfair. They shouldn't be sending migrants up there. Now, also, just one last thing too. The migrants that are being bused from Texas to New York are only like a small percentage of the migrants who are here. See, when the migrants found out that New York was going to be feeding them, clothing them, and giving them shelter for free, a lot of them wised up and was like, why the hell are we going to stay in Texas where they're not doing that? Let's go to New York and let's just let the government take care of us.
What they're now dealing with is, okay, New York City specifically has a right to shelter policy, meaning anyone who asks for shelter must get the shelter, which has actually made New York a far more desirable place for these migrants to go to. So the dominant narrative so far had been, oh, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is the one who's busing all of these people or sending all of these people to New York City. But he actually accounts for a small fraction of the migrants who have arrived in New York City. So I want to take you to graphic 5 here, because as the New York Times reports, after crossing the southern border, thousands have made their way to New York with the help of officials in Texas. Governor Greg Abbott has sent thousands in a campaign to provoke outrage and force the federal government to tighten border security. So he has done that to an extent. However, Abbott's buses account for only a small fraction of the people who have arrived. El Paso, a Democrat-led city, has also sent new arrivals to New York at the migrants' request, officials there have said, and some people have made their own way. So because of the fact that New York City has this right to shelter policy, obviously, if you're coming here as an asylum seeker, as you're going through the asylum process, as you're essentially waiting to have the ability to work here legally, you're gonna need a place to stay. And so naturally, people are going to gravitate toward parts of the country that have these types of policies that are far more friendly to individuals in need of shelter.
So that's the reason why New York City is running out of money. That's why Texas has millions of migrants coming across and they don't have the same problems, because New York City says, we are going to give you a place to stay. It is a right for you to have a place to stay. And now they want the federal government to bankroll that. And Biden's like, well, hold on. You're going too far here, guy. We don't know if we're going to bankroll apartments and houses for migrants. We let them come in, but my God, the taxpayers' money here, we got to be a little more concerned about. But New York is like, we want to do it. We have a right to shelter. Now, unfortunately for the migrants, New York, I think, is going to stop this right to shelter because they just don't have the money to do it, which makes sense. But this is what happens. The migrants are going there because they said, hey, these left-wing lunatics are going to give us free shelter, free food, free housing. Yes, let's go to New York. So Texas, they get to Texas and they're like, yo, we're not staying here. You guys are too rough. We're going to New York. But let me know how you feel about this whole migrant situation. I say good for the good people of New York. They voted these policies in. They called it racist. Now they're suffering with it. Send them all there. That's what I got to say. The caravans that come up, I would just have them go straight to the city of New York. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you next time. Peace.